8-star attempt in the first look video, mostly due to a slight change in the Ayaka group, which we'll get into. But honestly, as there's not a whole lot to talk about, I think, with these floors, there probably isn't going to be a tremendous amount of commentary, me just popping in here and there to talk about something I feel should be said. Now first for the Hu Tao group, I honestly don't think this is a particularly good one, as adding freeze into the mix and sort of relying on it tends to cause Zincho to no longer be able to actually keep up with Hu Tao's pyro output, and so you don't really end up gaining much of any damage, because for some of the hits, rather than melting, you're not even vaporizing. But I mostly did this one because I was going to throw Sucrose in here for really just the first half of the first chamber, to make it slightly easier to group everyone together and nuke them all down. And then just was like, hey, let's try throwing Rosaria in here as well. And honestly, I didn't put all that much thought into it either, as Rosaria here I think is using the Star Glitter, as it's now called, as really I probably should have given her the Favonius Lance or something along those lines. But again, for this chamber, it's pretty much mostly just gather the enemies together and then hit them hard. Now for this first bit, I would actually suggest keeping on this side of the Storm Eye, especially if you are using Ayaka, as while it's not done tremendously well here, you can get the Spectres to follow you closely enough so that they will actually end up getting hit by Ayaka's ultimate as well, which will make this part much quicker. Now getting into Ayaka, you can see the change made was to replace Sucrose with the Raiden Shogun, because the real issue I was having in terms of the very last chamber is I generally don't need a battery for Ayaka because she deals so much damage and so many hits of cryo damage that she can actually get her energy back just fine. But with an enemy like the Mechanical Array in the Abyss having so much health and thus she can't nuke it down, at least for mostly free-to-plays without even her 5-star weapon, and as her ultimate is really what does all the damage on her, that ends up drastically increasing the amount of time that last chamber takes. So of course we could have replaced, say, Bennett with Diana to serve as a battery, however that would just be a tremendous damage loss. So instead, while still probably a damage loss for Ayaka, I wanted to see how Raiden would work in this comp, if she can do decently at getting Ayaka's energy back, while doing a decent amount of damage herself, and slightly increasing Ayaka's ultimate damage. Now here we get into the Magokenki. Again, not a whole lot to say here. You can set up your buffs and everything you're going to throw down while you're waiting for him, so that once he pops up, you're ready to immediately push damage into him, and so you don't lose a whole lot from the fact that you can't damage him during that period of time. Try to get some damage out so that you get him into the next phase, and then just be making sure to dodge his attacks and so on and so forth. If you can keep him facing away from the wall so that hopefully he'll teleport back into it, that can be very helpful. It is a little bit difficult, I find, to do on Hu Tao, since you're constantly dashing and then jumping, and so it can frequently lead him to just teleport somewhere completely else. But if you're not using Hu Tao and using a character that's a bit more stationary, this should be fairly easy to do and, definitely make it less of a headache. Aside from that, especially in this case where you're not really using a healer, because honestly I don't think it's necessary on this side, making sure to not face tank every single hit so that you can live, there really isn't much of anything else to say. Now we didn't do that side all too terribly quickly, just have about 1 minute and 18 seconds I think. However, even though we have a Cryo-Sisson Mage on this side and no Resistance Shred, we still tear through it. These two enemies really don't pose us any issue at all. and nicely due to being able to nuke an enemy down and get the energy from that, and then from Raiden's ultimate, we're able to immediately throw out Ayaka's burst to nuke down the Mirror Maiden. However, I honestly wasn't expecting it to die so quickly, and so was unable to get any energy up, and so Raiden will be the only character going into the third chamber that has her ultimate. So chamber 3 could certainly have been done much faster than I did it if I had been a little less stupid. As we get into the first bit of chamber 3, as obviously you know by now, it's just nuke these guys down as fast as possible so you have as much time as you can for the second half. And once again, I probably could have done this a little bit faster, but 32 seconds is decent. Now, in a little bit of danger here with Raiden, she's getting hit by anything will lead to her death. But as she's the battery, we have to use her so that we can get everybody else's ultimates up. Which she manages to do nicely, and so we can throw out our buffs and our ultimate and dish out a bit of damage. The remainder is just getting in some chip damage until he moves on to his next stage, and getting some characters' energy back up. Slowly finding the correct enemy, throwing down a Bennett ultimate, and then into Raiden to try to get him mostly down while also getting Ayaka's and Mona's ultimate back up. Which we then nicely have to be able to put into the boss in his weakened state to do some nice big chunks of damage. 35 Ks in there by the looks of it. And a decent part probably thanks to the Abyss buff this time round, which increases our attack greatly, which is going to be a little bit of a concern, I think, for the next time round when we do not have that. Instead, just some sort of additional damage when you deal damage, so we will have to see how that plays out. Throw out Ayaka's ultimate, completely whiff for the first part of it, thanks to him jumping up into the sky. And then finish him off. And we've 9-starred it. The remainder of the video shall just be a sped up looking at the characters' builds, because I'm slow. And once that's over with, we'll have reached the end of the video. I was pretty glad to see that Raiden actually works fairly decently in this comp, though part of it is because we're dealing with an enemy that can't be frozen, and so Raiden's elemental skill doesn't even have the opportunity to ruin that. But again, it's nice to have an option aside from just throwing in, say, Diona, to help give Ayaka the energy she needs in situations where she isn't able to kill things fast enough to get it herself. And having said that, have you thrown Raiden into any interesting or different team comps? Or perhaps a team comp you didn't think would really work, and yet works out surprisingly well? Do let me know down below in the comments. Thank you for watching, look forward to seeing you again next time, and hope you all have a great day.